Hello, welcome. Thank you all so very much for coming. I have agendas right here for anyone who didn't get them. And we're going to go ahead and get started right away. We've got Ms. Lowe. We haven't seen you for a while, so it's good to see you.
I know. I've had meetings. Good morning, everyone. You got it? This has been the coolest last month, and I'm not saying awesome, because I'm trying to hold back on how many times I say that. Yeah, I've gotten really bad about that. But it's been really neat. We have had emails going back all over the campus about all the accolades that our teachers and that our students have been receiving. It's been absolutely amazing. As most of you should be aware by now, Sharon Roy is a finalist for Teacher of the Year for the whole district. So they're actually interviewing her today on film, which will be a little video that gets put up at the awards ceremony. We'll know May 29th whether she gets it. Also, Kendra Wheeler is a finalist for Classified Staff of the Year for the district. Wow. Yes, so that's really exciting. Yesterday, I wanted to fill you in. There is a new ratings that each school is going to be held to. And it is our school performance rating. I can't remember the exact title, I apologize, guys. But basically, it's a self-rating that districts design for each of their schools, and it's based on things like wellness, safety, fine arts, how well we're doing those soft things that aren't really tangible with a paper and pencil test. So the district came up with some criteria in each of those areas. There's 9 separate areas. And each school will be rating, we rate ourselves, so I'll be taking it to our Campus Advisory Council today. It just came out to us. They just got it to us yesterday because this is all brand new. The whole district had to come up with this. Then it's due back to them by May 23rd, and then it'll be published to be made public on August 8th. So we have a pretty short turnaround here that we have in order to identify those things that we're doing really well and those things that we want to improve on in the areas of communication, like I said, fine arts, things like that. So I just wanted you to be aware that that's going to be out there and coming out. I know that Laura DiCarlo is going to mention this in a minute, but I just wanted to put a plug out there for our neighborhood garden party that we're going to be having this Saturday. There are so many people involved with making this happen, and I cannot say enough about it. This is our way of celebrating our community. We're going to be having cooking. I know that's. I'm trying to talk through it, but I'm having a hard time. It sounds like somebody's letting the air out of the balloon.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah. But we're going to have cooking demonstrations. Miss Scott's class went out and took photographs of some of the elderly within our community and interviewed them. And they're going to have a photography exhibit where it has the pictures with the write-ups that the kids have done about the history of the Keeling community. We're going to have, what else are we going to have, Laura? I mean, there's so much.
Farm stand, live music,
wow.
other garden demos and cooking demos.
And that's this Saturday?
This
Saturday.
Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Wow.
Choir's gonna sing.
What? The quilting.
The
So
quilting.
if any of you
Quilting,
want to
that's right.
decorate a little square fabric, there's some on your way out.
This is the pies through piece?
And
That's
the
part of
family
it. We've incorporated that with it too, piece through pies as well. It's that whole, you come together and you create community, and food is a great way to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I obviously love to eat. So if any time that we can bring people together through food, it's just an amazing thing. So that's our biggest thing that we're working on right now, and I would encourage you to come out and support the school and the community. And that's all I have.
Can I say one really quick thing with that? Because I'm gonna go zoom out and come back later, but they're gonna be finishing up. We had the compost work day on Saturday. We had a couple parents from Keeling come, but mostly it was compost peddlers. And they've come this morning, the compost pellers are gonna be finishing up if it's not raining too much, with the kids in the gardening elective, and I'm gonna go outside with them, and that's gonna be showcased also on Saturday. And the potluck is at 12:30.
And Laura, thank you for all that you've done with the grounds. You've just done an
Oh,
amazing
yes.
job.
Name
Fantastic.
Francois.
Name Francois.
Name
This,
Francois.
the garden part of it is her baby, and she has just been amazing. But it has taken a whole village. It's taken Dee, it's taken Lucinda Pogue, one of our teachers who is really committed to this project, Dee Gonzalez to help us bring the community together, as well as many, many other people.
It's just been wonderful. And even in my couple of years here, just seeing the improvements, that's been cool. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Lowe? Okay, then we can go on to Mrs. Carter, and she can give the magnet report.
Excellent. So, before I say what I came planning to say, so as you were talking about the kids taking pictures of and interviewing elderly folks in the neighborhood, it reminded me of, I will never forget when I taught here back in '99 for a couple of years. There was this older gentleman that was always sitting on the bench down the hill from, I'm all turned around inside. I'm horrible with directions, just in case anybody's ever lost with me, don't follow me. And I never knew his name. I never knew anything about him other than I saw him every single day. I always said, "How you doing, sir?" and waved as I drove away, and he always waved back, "Have a good day." I mean, it was just so, oh, I wish I knew his name. I wish I knew his story. So that's really, really cool. I'm gonna stop talking now because I might get emotional. Anyway, so just a couple of things going on in specific classrooms right now that I've enjoyed getting to see. One is I got to see some great 8th grade plays in English class, and and on a somewhat hilarious note, I love that Ms. Roy used an overhead projector as the spotlight.
Yes.
That was
That
very
was awesome.
ingenious.
I know. I was
Great
like,
use
yeah.
of overheads now.
I know, exactly. Overheads are good for something still these
I thought
days.
that was ingenious.
Yeah, I did too. But just the creativity that was involved in these kids, in you know, a relatively short period of time and limited resources, etc.
And how well
And
they memorized
training.
Shakespeare.
Oh my gosh, right?
Fantastic job.
Yeah.
Where can we
No.
have that?
So some of the plays they put on were just absolutely adorable and wonderful. If you're headed out this morning and smell something funny, it's because they're dissecting cats in science class right now. Little 6th grade science cat dissection going on. Apparently in Slapbox class yesterday said they had one of the fattest cats he's ever had someone dissect. So I'll leave it at that.
TMI.
But anyway.
Last
Being-
year, one had
Oh wow.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay.
Next.
Okay. Move on. Sorry.
sorry.
We both have a science background.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're into this. It was really cool.
So the day after our last meeting, our 6th graders had their sound party. It's so exciting. This is the first time I'm getting to experience all of these things. So that was just an amazing day for our 6th graders. I got to showcase their instruments and see a band play instruments that they had created themselves, and it was just amazing. Our Parks and Rec crew went on their field trip. I've heard some absolute, I'm using amazing a lot. So I'm going to say awesome stories.
You can't use that because we're
I
going to start
know,
singing.
right? They're all A's. Anyway, some great stories after that trip. Just
Where did they go?
West Texas,
Fun.
and they made various stops along the way.
Oh, fun.
So it was a great trip. And on a less exciting note, we did finish up the algebra EOC. the last couple of days online, and everything went well. So, I guess that's about it.
Can I say one other thing that I forgot to report? This coming Wednesday, Patty Hill and I have been asked to go speak before the House Education Committee. And we're gonna be talking about innovative technology and flipping classrooms. So, a big thanks to KMag on that for helping us with the technology to make that happen. But, one of our parents is an education lobbyist that works for a lot of districts, and he knew that we were doing that, so that's how that all came about. So I just wanted to let y'all know we were doing that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if I could just add one thing on to what Ms. Carter was saying, just that when you mentioned the sound party and the Parks and Rec, it made me remember that both of those are helped out by your money that you give to KMag. So we help sponsor the sound party and pay for that group that Ms. Carter mentioned that comes in place for the kids using the instruments that they made. And I believe we helped with the Parks and Rec, we sent some teachers to first aid training, additional teachers to do that, so that everyone, they could have, better coverage for that on that trip. So just
So
wanted to
thank
let
you all.
y'all know, yes,
Thank you.
your money at work.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Carter? Okay, yeah, well, let me do the approval of minutes. Did you send the minutes out real quick? Does anyone have any comments, changes, questions? Can I have a motion to approve them?
I motion to approve the
Keena
minutes.
says. And I have a second, and Amy Moore seconds. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And now we have Amy Moore, shall we? Another thing that KMag does every year, we've started this is our third year. Sandra, is that right? Is each year we take some funds that are donated from y'all, and we send a group of primary teachers to, core class teachers, to a national training. Last year we did language arts, the year before that we did social studies.
Not language arts, world languages.
World languages.
I think next year is language arts.
Next year's language arts. And so they just get an opportunity to go to a national conference, which is great because they get to see things on a national basis rather than a state basis, because that's the level that they're teaching at. And so Ms. Warshauer is here to tell us about her experience and what she learned from the math conference.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see you all. We want to thank you all very much for allowing us to go to that conference. It was amazing and awesome.
Can I time out real quick? Just a
Yes.
reminder, you are on video.
Oh, okay.
Just everyone who comments that I usually make an announcement that we do have a video and it does go out there. So
Oh,
just
great.
so you know.
Okay. Can we start over again? No. Okay, so what I handed out was just a list of a lot of websites and some information on sessions we went to. But the way the conference is, and it was really neat. It was in New Orleans, and it was at the Convention Center, and it was also at the Hilton Hotel. I mean, it's huge. It's sort of, you get a big book of all the presentations that they have, and you kind of have to schedule it out. To me, it reminded me of like South by Southwest for math teachers, because it was really overwhelming, and there were so many. I mean, they have an online lesson tool that you can plan out your meetings, but it doesn't work because there's too much. So we just sort of, I would just pick things I liked and sort of wander around and jump in. And then they had a huge exhibit hall as well with tons of companies, innovative companies that we could walk around to their booths and learn all about, what they're doing in, the whole country. And some of the larger pictures that we saw there were that, 44 states have adopted the Common Core, which is kind of like our TEKS. But it's the Common Core to those 44 states, so that if people move from state to state, they haven't learned something different each year. Yeah, but we're not part of it. It is really neat, and so a lot of the conference was about the Common Core. The TEKS aren't that different. It's similar, especially we have new math TEKS coming out next year that I think align even more with the Common Core, but we're not the Common Core. And so a lot of the technology that was there, and there was a lot of technology, it made me feel like, at least my classroom, I think our school might be a little bit behind in terms of providing our students with iPads and computer access and all that kind of stuff, I just, it was all app-based and it was technology, pretty much. And that led into flipping classrooms and programs used to create those videos. And so that part was, it was all a little bit overwhelming. There was just so much information out there. So we tried to create sort of a little spreadsheet of some of the things we liked, and I'm not going to go over all of them. But I was going to go over a few. The people presenting were anywhere, a lot of them were, I would say, professors at colleges. There were teachers as well. There were hundreds of sessions, and I went to maybe 4 a day or so. I didn't get to see all of them, and maybe the ones I chose happened to be college professors, and my mom, who's a professor, presented too at the research portion right before. So that's why I felt like there were a lot of college professors there. So let's see. But some of the interesting things that I went to, on the back of the first page, I went to a really neat lesson on just kind of updating our current problem-solving problems that have been around for years with more current characters, I guess. And so there's like a cannibal or wolf and goose problem, or a cannibal and person problem, whatever. And they had updated it with zombies and vampires just to make it more interesting for the students. And then we got up and acted it all out. And so it was things that, we've kind of done before, but maybe we hadn't thought about updating it. And, even now I look at worksheets and they'll have things like, CD players, or, just little things that they don't even know, a whole lesson on keeping a check ledger, and they don't know, or need to know, I don't think, how to do that. They need to know to balance things. But, so it was a good reminder for that. And then below that, at Huda Math, that was really neat. It's a lot of these are free, a lot of them aren't, but that one was, and there were just tons of games that you could play to increase your math skills, and they were pretty fun. They were the regular games that they play, but with math. So like Flappy Bird, but it was math focused. So they had that. But again, you would need iPad for. The next page, there was a program I just walked in on called Erasma, and what it does is it makes sort of dynamic videos. So you might have like a $20 bill, and then all of the words start floating off of the bill. It's just things to capture the student's attention. They're not programming it to do that, but you create these layers. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff there. On the back of the second page, there was a company called Amplify, and this was not quite as tech-based. I felt like I could relate more to the booths or the lessons that weren't as tech-based, which probably isn't necessarily a good thing, but they provided sort of hard copies of things, and it was tangible. And so they had a lesson on the Iditarod, and they said they usually like to line it up with the actual Iditarod and calculating calories the dog consumes, and so you can kind of work through that. It was project-based, and so that's all on there. And then they were talking about mapping Malaysia and using geometry to determine the crop production and natural resources, and so that it was just across the curriculum, and neat. Also, the next page there was and I'm not going to go through all these, but there was a place called 10 Marks, and they were just bought by Amazon. All the stuff they're doing is Common Core, but it's free for now, and it looked really neat. There were instructions, interventions, assessments. It was all lined up with the Common Core, but I believe they said it was also, we could also get it somehow lined up with our critiques too. So that was. There was one that was hilarious. This guy was a comedian, and he had made lessons and always brought comedy. So he'd have students write jokes as like proofs from geometry and made them write it as haikus, or he was just. And I'm not funny. I'm not that funny, but he was probably amazing at teaching. And he also had like a sidekick too, which was really funny. It was another math teacher, so he was like feed him lines. It was great, and it was great to watch. And then some teachers stood up and said jokes that weren't as funny, but but that was probably my favorite one. But just bringing humor into math. I mean, it's taken so seriously, and it should be fun. So it was, and they would make little videos with little hand puppets and stuff. So it was just the conference overall that's what it was about. It was about technology. It was about the Common Core. It was about flipping classrooms a lot, which I think, from what I've learned about flipping classrooms, I haven't personally flipped, but I'm taking a class at UT. You teach right now on that. You just have to be careful to not get in sort of a pattern of, here's a direct teach video, we're going to do the homework in class, because it's really about making the lessons dynamic and interesting for the students when they are watching it at home, so that the teacher can give more individual help or reestablish misconnections the students might have made.
Exactly.
Right, because students come in with conceptions on everything, and often they're misconceptions, but no matter what, they'll always go back to those conceptions, because that's what they think. That's how they might have thought the world was flat, but that's, so you have to reteach that so that they can learn, the correct things. So I'm interested in learning more about flipping. I think it's a fad right now, and there's not much data on it. So I think it can be a little dangerous in that everyone wants to do it, and they don't know exactly how. So I just think we should be careful when we say we want to flip our classes. Well, you have to know how to flip it, and it doesn't mean you're just making a bunch of videos that kids are going to watch at home and you're no longer teaching in the classroom, because that's, so. But I learned that, and it was really great, and everyone, USABE is absent, and the other two teachers have classes, but we all wanted to thank you all very much for sending us. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. So, thank you.
What would you say was there one big thing, I'm so wow, this is the big thing that I took away from the conference, or as a group? I mean, I know, I'm sure y'all talked about different things that you'd seen.
Yeah, I think it was a surprise at how much technology is being used across the country, just in the classrooms. I think a lot of places seem to have maybe grants or something, but they all had iPads in their classroom. At least the people there did. So we were surprised at how much technology focus there was, and that if we don't start incorporating technology, then we will be behind these other states or districts or whatever.
And real briefly, some of the things that technology brings to the classroom.
Right, in terms of enhancing the classroom.
And is bringing more individualized learning, or I'm going to talk a few minutes about that, because I think that's interesting to know. You're teaching the same math, but you're using a different tool to teach it, and what that tool brings.
Right, and I think, using these different programs allows students that are at different levels to be at what level that they are. And so that, there aren't students constantly lost or constantly bored. You have a sort of this device that allows you to monitor what the kids are doing, because usually the teacher is part of the applications that they're using and can see what they're doing a lot of times. And so it does allow for that more individual, personalized learning for the kids.
I'm mostly using iPads, not desktops.
It was iPads. All iPads.
Does anyone have any questions?
So were there things that you all felt that you'd be able to bring back and implement immediately?
Definitely. Yeah, we're already using certain lessons that we got there. There was some, a lot of them cost money, but they gave us, different lessons to use for depending on what level we were at. Trying to think of specifically. I think it was more like an awareness to make certain changes in our classroom, in our lessons, because they're giving it to us in April, and so we have STAR tests and 6 weeks left, but we already are thinking, trying to implement some of these projects in the last 6 weeks to just try them out.
Are there more things that are specific to certain grade levels or classes, or are they sort of overall things that all of you would do?
Some were overall things. I mean, well, no, that's not true actually. I went to, the talks I went to were for my classes, my grade level, because they have high school, every high school as well. So the places I went to were gonna be specific to my classroom. So if it was attending a algebra manipulatives lecture, and then they give us, 20 resources online to use to help make algebra more hands-on or reinforce certain concepts. So yeah, I think it was more specific. Some of the lectures were more broad in terms of just how do we make, more equality in the classroom with male and female, or, that kind of thing. Breaking the gender gap. I didn't go to that one. I think Brittany did.
So who went? Who were the teachers who
Nanette
attended?
Strickland, who does 7th grade and 8th grade, and Alex Usabi, who teaches 6th grade, and then I went, and I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and did I say Brittany?
No.
Brittany Huerta,
Okay.
who does 7th grade.
And was it fun in New Orleans?
It was really fun, yeah. And we also went to a math counts, not math counts, it was, it's the art of problem solving. I think it was hosted by Math Counts, that we went to like a happy hour thing at the Oyster House down on Bourbon Street. That was like the last thing we did, so that was fun. And the guy who wrote the art of problem solving was there, and so it was really neat. I mean, it was just nice to be around so many, really interesting people from all over that love math.
So does anyone have any questions? Well, thank you for,
I do, yeah.
Right, the one I got was half.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not
You can also make this
copy
available
machines.
online.
You can have all of these,
You
and y'all have
probably
more.
will make it available online.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
But thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for coming and telling us what you learned, and also for taking the time to go and take all these classes and learn this and then use
Oh,
it in the classroom. So
It was
thank you.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah. There was a question, someone had a question, I had a couple of questions that came up that I'd sent to Ms. Carter ahead of time. One of them was about National Junior Honor Society.
Yeah, and it looks like, well, I'll just read this. Ideally, invitations to join will be delivered throughout the day in various classes on Monday and Tuesday. And it's all, yes, and it's all spread out instead of just one particular class, so that it's not like everybody knows that they're going to English and either you get a letter or you don't, and then it's obvious who gets it and who doesn't, and blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to kind of spread it out, spread the love a little, so that, so it's not like a production.
And, I'll get to your question quick, but you want to just talk a little bit about what NJHS is, because I didn't know this when I was a sixth grader, and how the kids get selected.
Well, it's a great question.
I
In
didn't
a
email that
sense.
one.
No, well, National Honor Society is at the high school level, and National Junior Honor Society is at the middle school level. And it's, the qualifications exactly, I honestly don't know, but it's certain grades have to be at a certain standard, and then also through National Junior Honors, that's hard for me to throw the J in there. Yeah, National Junior Honor Society also does some community service type things, and it starts kids on that path of not just worrying about academics, but also giving back as well. So that's in a nutshell.
Do we have any other questions about NJHS? I did receive a question about when sixth grade math will be notified, and then got an email back that happened, or has already happened yesterday,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, letters are either at houses or in the mail.
Right, so if you haven't gotten, if you're in sixth grade and you haven't gotten, will everyone get a letter, or just the ones who?
Current sixth graders, I believe everybody gets a letter.
Okay, so if you haven't got a letter, go through your child's backpack. There should be a letter, if your child is in 6th grade math, letting them know whether they have, recommended, thank you, to move on to algebra. And then there was a question I had from a 5th grade parent about, have they been notified yet?
Those incoming 6th graders will only get a letter if they're recommended for algebra. There was the it was a little crazy to expect our poor Patty Hill to send a letter to every single incoming 6th grader. But if the incoming 6th grader is being recommended for algebra, they have probably already received a letter in the mail.
They have.
Yeah.
No news means 6th grade.
Okay.
You got it. Yes.
I think that was all the questions I sent you.
I think so.
Okay, does anyone else have any other additional questions? All right, we're gonna go on to our committee reports. I've got Jenny Floyd here. She's actually gonna do the book club immediately after that. Is there anything you wanna say?
Just, it doesn't matter if you read the book or not, you can still come to the group. I think it'll be a good discussion. And most of the concepts are pretty easy to get a handle on, so
And this
hang out
book,
afterwards.
yeah, this book was just highly, everybody, I mean, everywhere I've been, I've heard this book recommended, so I'm looking forward to that. Julie is not here, so she doesn't have a magnet office teacher support. Did you bring your red folders?
No, I didn't.
I don't think there are any other committee reports that we need to go through. Do you have a treasurer's report?
I did not check the balance this morning because I was expecting Ken to be here and he's obsessive over that.
Yeah.
I did get an email recently. The Austin Community Foundation is cutting us off from reimbursements effective September 1.
Oh.
We can make deposits up through the end of this month and have reimbursements. So that gives it, it's not like everything's going to end at the end of this month. There's a little bit of extra free time.
So that pertains to, no, I was just gonna say that pertains to our shift from being under the Austin Community Foundation for our financial management to being under our own nonprofit, so that transition is gonna be happening over the summer.
Does anyone have any questions for our treasurer? All right, co-chair's report. The only thing I have is and I sent it out, there's been, Amy knows more about it, the FMP survey. If you haven't got a chance to answer that, go ahead. The board is looking for input about our FMP. It's a real short survey. It asks you who you are and where you feel various, what?
Didn't it close last night?
Did it close last night?
That's
Oh,
what Casey
yeah.
said, so.
Too late.
Actually,
Is it still
I've
open?
been told by ASD representatives, if you didn't make the deadline, email the trustees directly, that they are still
There
very
you
much
go.
wanting input
Okay.
about that and the superintendent search.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a survey about the superintendent search. Did they just want
It's
you to email?
online.
Is there a survey about the
It's not a
superintendent?
survey, it's just, tell us what's important to you in a superintendent search.
Oh, okay. I'll look for that. Do you have anything else to say? Okay, we're getting ready to transition over to the next year, where Amy's going to be doing it, and so she's looking for some assistant chairs. We already have most of the chairs in position, but with someone who can kind of work with that person and stand in their shadow and help them out the following year. We're looking for that, so contact Amy and let her know.
And I'll have to start calling people soon.
Yeah.
I will be calling you.
PTA, do we have I don't think we have anyone here from PTA, do we? Lars left. All right, well, we finished early, which is great because it means we can go straight into our growth mindset discussion. So, yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Do you have anything else? Wow, this is the first time we finished early. Fantastic. All right, thank you very much.